Welcome back to the Womcast. We have a great episode for you guys today. I'm talking with Ace Danger and Curtis. If you know my storyline at all, you'll know that we have interacted quite a bit with Ace Danger and Curtis and the whole lawyer team and like kind of the sketchy lawyer side of things. And dude, these two guys put a lot of work and dedication into creating storylines and just love seeing it play out and love seeing the reaction of people when it plays out. And so I think you're going to really enjoy this conversation that we had. These two guys, I'm telling you, it surprises me sometimes what they end up doing or coming up with and just the creative mindset that they have. And so I think you're going to really enjoy our conversation today. So one thing I want you to focus on when you're listening to the conversation is that these two guys are not streaming right now, are not really like, doing this to create a YouTube video or a TikTok or whatever. They're doing it just for the pure love of creating something. And for any of my creatives out there, I think that's a really important piece of the puzzle when you are creating something. Even if you're doing something for a stream or like a podcast or whatever, it's just you got to fall in love with the idea of creating. And these two guys have clearly fallen in love with that idea. And the amount of work that they put into this and the amount of time that they put into it and all that kind of stuff is just... I don't know. It's amazing. It's amazing to see. So hopefully you guys enjoy this conversation. It's coming up right after this. All right, everybody, I'm here with Ace Danger and Curtis, who we interact with quite a bit nowadays on my criminal character, Nick Ender. And we get to do a lot of like kind of shady sheet half the time with these two guys. And I'm so excited to talk about your guys' characters and all that kind of stuff. I want to hear like, some of the background or how you kind of like created those characters and whatnot. But first, let's just introduce you guys. We got Ace Danger here. AKA Gentle. So
thank you, Mr. Ender. It's a pleasure to be here.
Dude,
we're excited, bro. We're excited as hell. Thank you.
Wait, so where are you from?
I'm Australian.
Australian. Okay, I've been to Australia before.
Yeah,
no, I liked it, bro. It was just really like it was like hot and humid when I went, and I almost got bit by a spider. Close. It was a huge spider too. That was like the most terrifying part. Yeah, just one. Yeah, exactly. Well, hell yeah, dude. And then we got Curtis, aka Ugly. I'm not calling you Ugly. That's like the username. So yeah.
No, it's been my username forever, dude. It's my DJ/producer name. It's been around for like over a decade, dude. So yeah, it's fine.
Hell
you can call me Ugly.
Dude, that's awesome. That's so you've been DJing for a while, or?
Not yes and no. So I started back when I was like 2019, got into the rave scene super heavy, got into DJing, and it's like hard to break into a local scene, especially in like if you're not in like LA or something like that, right?
Yeah, any music scene, bro, is crazy. Yeah,
right. And like I was able to get like local gigs and bars and like opening festivals and shit like that, but nothing crazy. So I never actually produced until like a year ago. I've been making music, but I kind of just keep most of it low key.
That's awesome, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's in the vault. Gentle's heard a lot of my music though.
Are you guys pretty good friends like OOC and stuff like that? Just like have you guys known each other for a while or?
Look, it's probably been a decade. We met each other on a small server. We start to get to know each other. We hung out. You start to have friendships, but it was always just in character. Like we didn't really know a lot about each other out of character. Then we started making different characters and just you'd meet each other and you'd have a fight. I'd killed Ugly's nerd character that was trying to snitch on the whole city and be live for like 2 weeks, And the more you do hostile roleplay with people, the better your friendship starts to grow. Like I just started to find myself messaging Ugly randomly, listening to his music, knowing that, hey, I'm going to this server, you want to come? Like you just start to, it's more than roleplay when you find the right people.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'll actually never forget the first time I ever met Gentle. It was like, this is like back before No Pixel was No Pixel as it is now. This was like back in like shitlord No Pixel days, Family RP. If you were around back then, we were playing on Rivalry. And I remember I walked into the Coke lab and I'm playing like Hispanic, Vago's character Juan, and I go in there. Gentle's in there on his Jesus crust, the Jesus character model, and did the banter. It's just like we just like instantly clicked, and our banter was so good that I was like, this fucking dude. Like, and ever since, yeah, we've just kind of like duo characters, create like people to villain with each other, shit like that.
Yeah. I think you can kind of see it with these two characters. I mean, this is the first time that me and you guys have ever interacted on anything. And with Ace and Curtis, you can just see the, like, I don't know, the thought that you guys put into it is something that really interests me, you know? I think we should open up though, like talking a little bit about the like lawyer character side of things though. Like when it comes to like lawyer characters, is that something you guys have played before? Is that something that you kind of got into and you just were like, oh, let's try it? Or
Yeah, so for me, I've always had a lawyer character of some sort. The first time
yeah.
I tried it, I had no idea. I went into court, I lost constantly. I thought, wow, this is pretty boring, to be honest, And then I got into studying the law, and I got right into sort of understanding the Constitution. And because I'm an Australian, learning law was different for me. Ugly helped me a lot by like explaining, like, oh, yeah, this is natural. You should just understand the Fifth Amendment. And I'm like, what do you mean, the Fifth Amendment? So I got really into research, and my characters got better and better at the law, And then this time we decided to be the big evil lawyers, like the big dark puppeting from the shadows, but never putting their hands on anything. And we really wanted to show people that like roleplay's booming. Everyone wants to be the big bad, but you don't have to have a gun and weapons and like kidnap people to be the big bad. You can be that classic villain you saw as a kid. And so we tried to embrace that while pretending to be the best characters you could imagine.
While pretending to be.
So like they give away money, they give away food. We wanted to embrace a community sense from these homeless people that wanted to give back to the whole community. At the same time, they're planning to rob everyone.
Yeah. I think I feel that like menacing side of it. I think that's like, I don't know. It's an interesting piece, right? Because it takes a lot of work to kind of make that happen. And that's something I realized on my lawyer character was like, dude, the amount of out of the server work that you have to do is insane. It's like so much stuff you have to like prepare or like learn about or whatever. And then to figure out how you almost have to actually learn pieces of the law in order to like manipulate it and be like more of a villain side of it.
So for me, I never did lawyer RP before this server. And what I know of the law is just me being an American citizen and my rights essentially. So I've learned so much from doing lawyer RP and like the processes and all the different terms and shit you have to know. Like that's what gets me is all the like little nuances. But like Gentle can pull that shit out like just instantly. I'm like, hey, what about this? He's like throws me this law he knows somehow that's in his brain bank. I don't get it.
Yeah. It's kind of, I remember when I was doing like Roy, it was kind of like you gotta know enough to be able to bullshit your way through, know enough to bullshit your way through and for me, I was trying to stay away from like ChatGPT. I think a lot of lawyers probably use that in RP, but I was trying to stay away from it as much as I could. But, I don't think I used it at all, but it was more of like, I would just say stuff that sounded kind of right. And hopefully it was at times,
So I just like blast out my thoughts and then I run them past Ugly. And then we use ChatGPT to make sure that the words aren't just random swear words. And so we get it to like just tune up what we wrote. Because I'm like, normally it just says like, you're this and you're that and you broke this guy's rules. And we're like, yo, ChatGPT, turn this into something useful.
Lawyer talk or something.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, you broke the Fifth Amendment.
It's like kind of a quicker way, It's kind of like a quicker way to get to the, the end game. I think as long as it's like, because sometimes you can tell like someone's whole character is just GPT, with like the lawyer stuff, and it gets a little bit like you're like, is this you creating, or is it just like everything you try to say, you're saying it through ChatGPT or something like that, dude?
Yeah, me and Ugly have been pretty against the ChatGPT thing. We wanted to use it to help shape the story, but not be the story. So like obviously we're not top tier actors, or we would off be next with Hugh Jackman, but we enjoy that sort of things. So we added all that sort of twists and turns to the characters.
Yeah. Do you guys? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I just think there's a difference between using ChatGPT to like enhance your role play and like what we're doing, like paperwork and all that shit, right? Because there's so much extra work that goes into being a lawyer, and there's a difference between that and using it as like a rebuttal tool. Like you can't ChatGPT like, oh, he just said this and I didn't like. What's the best result? 10 seconds later, it pops up. Like you can tell it's very unauthentic and unnatural. Like there's been a couple GPT lawyers in the server that me and Gentle have had to be like, we don't want to fucking argue with a bot, dude. It's like when they can't respond to you, like, dude.
They're like, please hold on. You know, you're like,
yeah, exactly.
So we use ChatGPT to make the documents for Nick Ender. You know, we don't sit down and type out all those
Please
words.
do. Yeah, please do that. Dear God, dude, yeah.
That's what we do it for everyone, you know. We can just be like,
those
hey,
maps,
give us a
I
document.
made those maps in Illustrator, all right?
That was so cool, dude.
And shit.
And we're like starting to use them and stuff. We'll talk. I want to definitely go into the storyline side of it. I really want people to understand though, like, the lawyer character, like how valuable do you guys see it is to a server, and yeah, like how much work do you really feel like it is? Do you feel like it's too much? Do you feel like it's like enough and it stays rewarding, or you know, I guess yeah.
You want to take that, or you want me to take that?
I was going to let you go first.
Yeah, no, I think it depends, because there's got to be a lot of lawyers. Like that's the thing that is the biggest struggle. Like if there's only one or two lawyers on the server and everybody's calling you for everything, like then yeah, it becomes a hassle, and like you don't want to take every single case. Like there are a lot of times where people are just OOC pissed off that they lost, and they want you to argue with them in court or whatever, you know, waste the cop's time. And it's like, dude, you're wasting my time also. Like it's not like, yeah. So it's like, if there's a lot of lawyers and you can kind of choose your clients and get the cases that like intrigue you and like, you know, make you actually want to go, that's the type of shit I like to do. Like I hardly ever argue cases, but the ones that I like want to take on, it's like I get super passionate about it, you know?
I find it really rewarding. Sorry, I thought you were done.
No, I am. Go ahead.
I find it rewarding, but it's a lot of work. So especially when I started, like I was investing a lot of time in research to like, if somebody else has done a lot of research, you just get to court and get blocked. So when I've done judge before, when I had that, I was big on like not blocking until the court case. So you could come to court and argue that thing and block the dude, but it's role play, you know, let's not block each other in a court docket. That's probably the only thing I think's bad. Like there shouldn't be this, like you have to jump through 30 hoops to be able to talk in the court case. And the staff are sort of fixing that and trying to reduce it and stuff. So it's going to make law role play a lot smoother, because you really should just stand in court and argue.
Dude, I used to hate that on Roy, dude. Like half of the cases would be settled in Discord, you know? And you're like, do we ever want to be in a court case, or is it just that we want to like, you know, get it dismissed in the in the docket in Discord? Because like, if for anybody who's listening doesn't understand how the legal process works, so say somebody goes to jail, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, if it's changed since I've seen it, but somebody goes to jail, they call in a lawyer, they plead not guilty, then a docket opens up within Discord. And I think they probably like open it up through like the police or something. One of the cops probably opens it up or something. And then that docket gets people assigned to it, like a lawyer and all that kind of stuff. And then eventually at some point there will be a court case. But sometimes what happens in that Discord docket, like in the Rush Hour Discord, it'll get like, I don't know, it just gets settled in there, you know? And I'm like, I don't know if I like that, you know? I wish there was like at least like a quick meeting or something like that. But I know like timing and stuff like that is hard for people, but
it's
I don't know, is that kind of similar?
Yeah, so like the devil and angel there, you know, you're talking about the time and settled in the docket. We could have dropped and got Nick Ender free while you were in the cells based on the evidence, right? But if we didn't take it to court, then the whole city as role players don't get to adjust to, hey, you shouldn't just do this. So you're stuck with like, well, does Nick Ender have to sit in prison 5 days so that I can bring this argument, or do I just want to settle it in the docket? So a lot of that settling in the docket is players who just want to get back to play. You know, they want to play the game. Yeah. They don't want to spend a week waiting. And we get it, but for us to role play, we need the Nick Enders to say, all right, I'll take it on the nose and see what happens.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, I'm like, if it's good enough, you know, like if it's like a good enough reason, I'm happy to do it, you know? And I think that's where a lot of criminals it's something that actually Jack said to me, where he's like, yeah, if we don't call these guys, they ain't got nothing to do, you know? So like when we call, we gotta call them as much as we can, you know, like the lawyers and stuff like that. Cause it's like, if we don't call them, they're just going to be like, they're not going to like have like cases to fight. They're not going to find little like loopholes, you know, they're not going to be able to do much, you know? I mean, you guys are the type of guys that would find something to do either way, but yeah, that's kind of always what we thought.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. You know, like even so we're fighting a big thing at the moment. We've opened a case called Ace versus Justice, and we're trying to fight some of the inconsistencies in the justice system without having a defendant. So we're trying to raise like serving 3 times your time in the holding cell and then not getting time served. You know, like being down there 2 hours and then for a 30-month charge. Why would you ever call a lawyer? So some of the behavior at the moment is sort of like if you call a lawyer, you don't get the time served. So nobody wants to call a lawyer. You know, I went down there the other day with Terry, and he was there for a long time, and he served more than the time he needed to for his sentence. But he wants to do it for content and story. So we really do need those people to be like, you know what, I'll take a bit of time to help out the good lawyers that are talking to me and make a scene and things like that. We also need the cops to sort of remember, hey, it's a game and you are charging people. But remember the guy at the other end of the computer who's now in a cell by himself for 20 minutes is bored. Well, why does he want to play with you ever again? You know, and yeah, we want to stay in character, but also humanity, you know, and it's important with the law that you sort of look and say, Nick Ender shouldn't be in a whole cell for that long. Let's get someone talking to him or get him cleaning a car while he waits or send him to the prison and sort this out ourselves, you know, like that's where we're sort of at. You got to remember it's fun, and a lot of people are paying to have fun too. So that time is important.
Yeah, there's a mechanic that I really didn't like for a long time. I don't know if it changed or not, but where if you pled not guilty, you would get like full time, full fine, and then you would go to court, you know? And I would like sit there and go like, why in the world would I ever want to plead guilty to spend like, you know, 120 months or more in prison, like, and just from like a player standpoint. So I got to spend like hours in prison just so that I can like allow for like, you know, court RP and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know if that changed or not recently, but dude, it's like the worst because it's like, I'd be like, so because I want to use my legal right, you want to punish me and like send me to to jail for longer, you know? It never made sense to me.
So they removed the fine part of that. The staff are really good. They listen to a lot of the feedback and stuff. They removed the fine part, but you go on PTA and your character's on pause until you can get a court case, which can take a week or more. And it's no one's fault. It's just that everyone's busy, right? So Chris is a good example. He's got like a really funny, silly court case, but the docket hasn't even been filed. And when they do file it, it's just going to get dismissed because it's been too long. But we can't go and wreck our whole story knowing that this system's going to go that way. You know, we've still been role-playing the court case and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think I don't know. It's something to figure out because I basically want you guys to be called more, you know?
Yeah, that's why we're bringing this case on justice. So we're actually asking the judges to form a panel and listen to all these cases, but with no defendant. So there's no money or finding of guilt. We're asking them to form a doctrine, just like Castle Doctrine in America. We're going to ask for it to be Danger Doctrine. It's going to say, like, you can't serve twice your time in the holding cells. You have to be sent. Like, you can't just be left there sitting in solitary confinement and things like that. And we think that's a good way to bring in OOC and in-character stuff that's important and just leave it in character. You know, we can sort all that in character. We don't need to worry about who was doing what for what. Let's just say, like, these things aren't cool and they're now illegal.
Yeah. Is that kind of a value you guys have? Like you try to get as much stuff into the city versus doing it like in Discord or doing it like anything OOC? Because I feel like a lot of the law stuff can go that route. Is it kind of you're trying to bring?
Yeah, we write letters and send like a document you can read, and then we say, please, let's discuss this in your office or whatever, and then we try and meet people to talk to it. And that's some of why cases take a bit long because some of the people can't meet, but we want to role play. There's no point doing all that paperwork if I can't talk to you in the city. You know, I may as well get ChatGPT.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, we basically get on the server to get into meetings, you know? Like, it's like, all right, who do we got to meet with today? We've got fucking Ender, we got the fruit people, we got Hobo, you know what I mean? Like, it's like we have a guy who's got a court case. That's like our whole entire day. And then if we're getting calls in between that to go to, that's like, I don't know. We find ourselves not even being able to go on duty sometimes because we're so fucking busy with other meetings, though. So it's good, you know.
I think the thing that gets lost in GTA a lot of times is the meeting side of RP, right? Like Red Dead, that's kind of like a big piece of the RP in Red Dead RP, from what I realize. And then you've got GTA where it gets lost a bit, and people get like almost like bored, you know, and they get like kind of this like, I gotta get to the next like thing, or I gotta do the, you know, a lot of criminals are like, oh, I got a boost, I got a thing, I got this and that, I got, versus like taking a breath and creating like a storyline in there. And one of the meetings that I think was really one of the coolest meetings that we've all had together, and if people don't remember this, we met in the trap lawyer house or whatever you guys would call a trap office or whatever. We met in there, and I kind of like actually like almost like physically, I don't know if like you could notice it on stream if we watched it back, but I kind of like took a breath and was just like, okay, I want to see what this is about. Cause I could feel like you guys wanted to like, you know, jump into some deeper stuff with our crew and everything like that. But I really wanted to like make it make sense storyline wise and see where that was headed, you know? And so I decided to like sit into that meeting a bit, and I think it was a huge reward for my character and the storyline overall. And that's kind of where I think you guys won over like Nick Ender, you know, in that sense. And won over where I'm just like, all right, let's do as much as we possibly can together. And I want to say, dude, like you guys like playing off each other. That meeting was absolutely amazing. Ace, like that monologue you went on. I've been like telling people about that quite a bit. Like even like I was talking to my brother, because my brother does like short films and he like really wants to get into directing and like writing and all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, dude, this monologue this guy went on was crazy, dude.
Yeah, about him growing up as a kid. Yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
I was like, and the way he delivered that was just like, I mean, yeah, it was just pure acting. It was cool.
Yeah, when I get
Gentle's really good.
Oh, you are too, bro. Like, look at Curtis's backstory. It just doesn't come out as quick as mine. I'm a bigger mouth. You know, when I made a character, I want to put little things into his past that can be brought out by other people's stories in the future, you know? Nobody on that server had heard that until you said, well, what's your foundation? You know, tell me why you want to kill cops. Like, tell me why you think this is good, you know? And that's when the stories get to come out. Now, improv's really, really good. And a lot of that is also improv. Like, I didn't specify what happened and when and stuff, you know, but I have in my head these strategies that, okay, this is how the character grew up. This is why he took law, and this is what he's been doing, you know? And so anytime I'm challenged with a off question, like, when you hit me with one, I have resources to draw on what's going to make that scene better.
Yeah. Well, and Curtis, like I think, or like ugly. I think with Curtis, you like brought it's I feel like you guys kind of like both are supporting roles to each other, you know, like, and I think it's a really creative thing because there'll be times where like Curtis shines, or there'll be times where Ace shines. And I think when you guys recognize those moments, and I don't know if it's something you're thinking about in the moment, you guys let that happen, right? And that's one thing with our peers a lot of times it's really hard for people to do, is like when it's the other person's moment, it's hard for the other person to kind of step back and like let that person shine. You know, do you guys think about stuff like that, or is it kind of just happen since you guys been role playing together for so long?
I know Gentle does. I can tell by the way he interacts, you know, like there's a difference between me and Gentle, just he and I, versus when we're performing for someone, if that makes sense, right? Like we kind of dick around when it's just the two of us, but then as soon as someone's there, like we turn on. And I've always played supporting roles. Like I've never been one to like, I need to be the biggest, baddest fucking character in the server. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
I love seeing someone who can like take a story and like kind of dungeon master their way through and like just give them all the support they need. And like Gentle's really good about bolstering me at the right moments, you know, and like letting me like, oh, this is Curtis's part. Like we have turns. If you notice, like some subject will come up, like that's my subject to talk about. And like we just figured it out as we've gone, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to sort of know yourself as well. Like, even though you're role playing and it's a game, I know that I'm a loud voice and I love to talk, but I also know that Ugly's awesome and he's got all these cool talents that add to stories, right? So I have to be aware that I'm not overtaking his airtime. You know, we want to have fun together, and it's not fun to just listen to one dude gasbag for an hour, you know? So if you are that big guy, take a second to yourself, work out what you can do to support your friends every now and then. Like, I know the topics that he loves. I know he's into art and music, you know. So when they come up, I know to be like, I don't know that shit. Ask Curtis.
Yeah, Curtis.
Well, right. Bro, one of my favorite bits I have with you, Ugly, is where you call and I'm always just like, who is this?
I love that shit. It's like, you motherfucker, I'm
like, wait, who is this again? Who's this? It's
it's so good, dude. I've been laughing about it every time because it's like it's been going on for so long now, and then the other day you're like, Ace and what's your name again?
You're like, God dang it, bro.
It's such a good bit. No, it's hilarious, dude. I love little things like that. Like, I love like you find something with someone like that, and then like you continue to add to it and like, you know, like tweak and create this thing that's like our entire goal. Like most of the time is like throw a little seed out there and just like let it grow, right? You know, it might even be complete nonsense bullshit, and then weeks later someone comes back to us like referencing back to that thing we said, and it's like, holy shit, that came back around. That was badass, you know. So that's rewarding for me.
When I think like RPers, like the best RPers that I like to RP with are the ones who like throw like a kind of a hint out, you know, or like they kind of like throw this like bone out, you know, and they see if the other person bites onto it and takes it and then like makes it into like another thing and they throw the next thing out, you know. And I think with a lot of the things that we've all been doing, and for anybody who's listening that doesn't know our storyline, basically, Nick Ender has let Ace Danger, or really all the Shadows have let Ace Danger and Curtis into their entire like blue business or like meth business. I can say that on the podcast and someone on TikTok, but the whole meth business because of really that conversation we had in that, you know, meeting that we were talking about. And I think once that's happened, now you guys have gone down this whole path of making like documents and like companies on top of companies that will be able to like fold into each other. You guys have put like a lot of work into that side of things, and we've like really started to implement some of those things now, which is really cool. But I guess with all that work behind it, when did you guys always do that? Like put like, you know, creating like pictures with, because like what they had done is created like a route for like, or you guys explain like kind of that piece of it. What you guys,
you remember you gave us a mission, right?
Yeah.
We came to we came to the fucking used car lot, and you were like, I need you guys to figure out how to transport a bunch of shit, you know? And then you got busted. And we had to figure out, like, dude, you can't just be killing 10 cops. Like, you need to, you know, we need to figure out a better way to handle this, right?
It was 9, allegedly, okay?
9, allegedly. Hey, we got all that shit dropped, dude, so it's fine.
Yeah, that was crazy.
But I lost my train of thought. If you had something to say, Jen, I'll go
Once
ahead.
I killed the 9 cops, you were like, yeah, you guys got to, like, you had to, like,
build
a whole nother
well, and you gave us that mission, and this is the first server that I've played on in years. So it's like to have these functions to be able to print things out and like, you know, make documents and shit. There's so many cool mechanics that like are underutilized as fuck, you know?
The Astro Coin, Astro Coin. Oh my God. We spent a week trying to explain to people that you can just use the Astro Coin and have no bank records. And they were like, nah, we don't want Astro Coin. And we're like, you know, you can just cash out Astro Coin anytime you want, right? So you can have 100K the cops can't touch in Astro Coin. And people are like, nah, I don't like Astro Coin. I don't like cryptocurrency. And we're like, what is wrong with you? You know?
I mean, dude, I haven't even thought of that. Yeah, that's a great point,
we walk around with
right?
$99,000 in Astro in our Astro wallet. That's what Curtis and Ace use for money. Like,
that is actually so smart. Yeah, that's really, really smart.
Yeah, and so we started making the documents, like you saw. We've done them in the past, but not to this level because we didn't have a printer in the city, you know. So we started using that stuff. But we had this plan that we want to be quest givers and we want to be big evil quest givers. So we can we were going to have all these different clients and we were going to have them in different schools. Now, the interesting thing is we actually knew nothing about the Shadows. We actually didn't know the gang name. We only knew Nick Ender. We were working towards Ender because we heard that he had pushed an agenda on the streets. And when I went to that meeting with Kaya about her business, she gave Ace the name Shadows. He'd never, ever heard it before. So we were like gunning hard for you guys. And then that meeting the other day when Jack's like, well, we would prefer you to just move this way, that caused like a huge arc for us to be like, okay, what are we going to do? Because we had all these ideas and plans and, and that's roleplay. It's awesome, bro. Like, we had so much fun with this whole story with you guys. Like, the fact that we didn't know you were a shadow or whatever that was, we didn't know you guys had everything. We were just role playing that you were the transport dudes. So that meeting was also a flip for us where, like, Jack is basically saying, well, we could help, maybe you don't need the other shit. And that's sort of, it was so good for us because we didn't know.
Yeah. It's what's cool about it is like kind of how we play the gang is like that it's not, we try not to be very loud about name and all this kind of stuff. Now, I mean, being streamers and stuff like that, it's people end up just, it's like what I call like quiet meta, where like people end up just finding it out, they're like, oh, you need to talk to the shadows about this and this. And they're like, they don't realize that like, realistically speaking, the only way they would have heard that is through maybe like another gang that maybe they actually haven't even talked to, or they've heard it like you guys, like in like a deeper conversation, or it took like a while to hear it. It's never like plastered on a wall or never like put up on yellow pages or any of that kind of stuff. So we try to keep it truer as much as you can to the name, as long as you're like in like a one server. But it's cool to hear that. I didn't know that piece of it, so it's just interesting.
Yeah, for us it was really good. Like, we've had a bunch of surprise moments with our storylines that have been really fun.
When you guys think about like doing the shady type lawyer stuff, right? I guess was that the goal from the beginning?
I've done it before. I've done like prosecutor. I've done corrupt judge. Like, I love to have the corruption that isn't in your face. So like, all your viewers wouldn't start to see that Ace is super corrupt, but everyone that's playing with him doesn't see that. He loves Clyde Taylor. Clyde Taylor's one of his best friends. Like, he wants to help Monty. Oh yeah, I'll help protect you, Monty. I'll help. It's so good. Like, once we fell into this new arc as homeless people this time, both of us were just like, whoa, this is awesome. We decided no money, no chasing things. And then we put that into the homeless stuff.
Cars. Not having cars adds such an intense layer of roleplay. And I think that's the difference between GTA and Red Dead. Is like, if you're in a car, you're with your boys and you're just flying around the fucking city, stopping only what you want to do. Like, let's go hit that thing. Let's go get the bank truck. Let's do whatever, right? But like me and Ace, we would just walk the streets and people pull over like, what are you guys doing? Why are you walking? Do you need a ride? No, I'm right where I need to be. Like, it just brings on so much interaction.
Do you guys use radios at all or no?
No, we don't even have them.
That's good. Dude, I honestly, sometimes I hate radios, man. I think it just like, it complicates everything. You can always talk to somebody. You can always, and I remember, I talked about this, I think, on one of our other podcasts, but I remember in Red Dead when I got lost and I was actually lost and I was like, I can't like just like call somebody. I can't just radio them. I can't ask anybody where I am. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I don't know where I'm going and I'm lost. I'm like, dude, I got like split off from the pack. It's a cool, different feeling. And within GTA to have something like that that'd be really cool.
Yeah. The time traveler metaphor and the storyline was really good. They started saying like, no, we don't need to get in your car because we are wherever we need to be. And they would just keep walking, and so people almost felt like they'd seek us out sometimes and bring us food, and like we were a Where's Wally of the city for the first couple of weeks. And that was a lot of fun too. Like, oh, there's the homeless guys. Let's go see what they're doing. We ain't homeless.
Homeful.
Yeah, I'm homeful.
Well, the day that Legion changed too, I mean, I'm sure it was a big day for you guys. Like, you could.
I haven't even seen it.
We weren't there before.
No, the park in the middle.
Before.
Oh, you weren't? Okay, I was thinking maybe you were there before, because I remember like Legion in the middle. It used to just be like, it's just like I don't know. Yeah, it's like the normal GTA, and now it's like a whole park that you guys can like, you guys can basically like live out of, which is so cool. And you're right, it does become like a staple in the city, and there's certain characters that kind of do that. And I think your guys' characters have very quickly become that. I don't remember the first time we met, but I remember I feel like it's just been, I don't know, you guys have just exist. It almost feels like eternal in a way, like your characters have existed,
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Even people that, when you talk about the soft meta, people that don't know us, you look at us, we're probably homeless. They always come over and,
Yeah.
what are the homeful people doing? We know that you probably saw it on a stream, but we love that you want to talk to us. So come on over. We don't care. That little soft meta, you just let it go. Who cares? Like, you obviously heard that somewhere.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, sometimes it is that. It's like, yeah, you just take a whatever. It's not, as long as it doesn't ruin your like storyline and stuff like that. It's like, it really is kind of whatever.
As long as they don't walk up and say, yo, Ace, I know you're helping Nick Ender with the Blue Empire, then I'm happy, okay? Just come up and say, hi, home person, we're good.
There has been times where that kind of stuff happens, bro. So sometimes I hear it, I'm like, oh my God, bro. It'll be like late night and like, Sunny Day will be around or something. And someone will be like, oh, what's up, Sonny? How's it going? He's like, who are you? It's just really funny. But a lot of times it's mitigated though.
I think as like experienced role players, you kind of can smell meta a mile off. It's really hard for like an amateur role player to hide that they're metaing. Like especially if they're just coming to like stream snipe you or like get in with you or whatever. It's super difficult to cover up. Like you can just feel it. Especially like meta information. Like sometimes someone will tell you something and it's just like, I'm just gonna ignore that. Like pretend I didn't hear that because that's definitely meta.
Yeah, I always try to check it with some of the guys. Like when we hear something, we'll be like, I think we always say like, oh, you think that's all like, kosher or something like that, or like clean, or something like that, or we'll say something around those lines, and be kind of like, because if it's just like so juicy and they know every single little detail about some random person, you're like, is this going to get us in trouble? That people are going to think that we metagame this information this person's sharing with us, or something of the sorts. But
it's safer just to like not take it.
Yeah, especially in your guys' like line of work, right? Like someone could come to you and be like, they saw that a cop was being corrupt or something like that on stream. They could like do that, or they could like, a particular criminal or whatever it is. But I just always hope that as much as it can, it stays away. I think as a streamer, you just have to like accept that happens, and a lot of stories get kind of like screwed over sometimes. But you kind of just role play it out, keep it moving, keep it grooving. That's all you can really do. But I want to talk about the process of our court case. Actually, like we were talking about, like the 9 cops and stuff like that. So I actually just want to know the details of it. Like actual storyline stuff where you guys found this evidence. So for anyone who doesn't know, this was when we got caught up like transporting a bunch of meth, like tons of meth, and we got into this. Probably the biggest shootout I've almost ever gotten into with the cops, and like, big guns shooting. I ended up getting caught up, and I'm really the only one who got like charged with like everything, like nine attempted murders. They actually didn't end up finding any drugs, which was kind of cool, but it was big. And then I was on HUT, and then I was in jail for an entire day, which was like so it was a challenging stream for me, but it ended up being kind of cool. But yeah, and then you guys tore apart that evidence like crazy, which was super cool. But talk about that process of like going into that and everything.
Oh, bro, this is probably the best. So I actually have dyslexia, so I couldn't read the numbers on the evidence that they had provided. So I got it all. I worked out strategies. I got the evidence, and I said, I can't read this. Can you please show me which one's Nick's? And he's like, yeah, I got you. And then I said, Nick needs to be let off HUT, and I went to bed because I'm Australian. And so he was awake in normal hours. You were awake in normal hours. Got yourself out of the charge. I showed up. You're like, what did you do? I went to bed, bro. I went to bed at midnight. It was 6 a.m. when you got yourself out, Nick. Yeah. And so Ugly then got all the evidence while I was asleep. And he lined up all the numbers in a row, and he formed all the timestamps together and all the areas. And we discovered that there were 2 pieces of evidence that didn't even come from that scene. There was a bullet from Grove Street 50 minutes later that was filed as Nick Ender's. And we were like, well, Nick Ender was on HUT 50 minutes later.
Yeah.
Ace went in there knowing that the evidence was wrong, but not knowing exactly what it said. So he wasn't sure if Monty was going to open the computer and say, yeah, this is how you link it to Nick Ender. He had no idea whose fingerprint it was. He just was going to plead, well, if I can't tell, then I couldn't defend it.
And this was a fingerprint like on the gun, right? So we kind of have to like, because some people won't know all the details, but it was like a fingerprint on the gun that was used, right?
Yeah, so there were 2 guns, and there was a total of 4 fingerprints. But those 4 fingerprints were all different. And Ace saw that, and he's like, "How can 2 of these be Nick Enders if they're all different?" And so Ugly solved that problem for him. He said, "Well, they're not. They link to different things." And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
when he put it up and said, "This is Nick Ender's fingerprint," Ace had no idea if it was or wasn't. You know, at that moment, I'm still role playing. I'm like, "All right, here we go with the coin flip." You know, Monty, please show me how this links to Nick Ender. He opens the computer. It didn't link to Nick Ender, and he said, "Let's make a deal."
Dude, I remember sitting there. I was expecting that to be like a 3 to 4 hour court case, you know? And I was sitting there and I was like, bro, I can't imagine where we're headed, you know, how this is going to work out. I was like, dude, it's going to be kind of crazy. You know, I didn't care if we lost it. I don't really care about all that, but I just thought it was going to be a long court case, you know? And all of a sudden you're like, yeah, they want to make a deal. And I'm like, what are you talking about right now? You know? And what was funny is like when it happened, I was actually like doing like a bit on stream or something like that. I was like talking about something and I was kind of like talking over it. And then all of a sudden you just hear, I listened back to it and you hear Monty like, we need to take a recess right now. You know, it was just such a perfect thing. But Ugly, you kind of tore it apart, right? You kind of like talk about like how evidence kind of works and stuff like that, because I think it'll be interesting for people to realize that how deep it really goes.
I might have to
That's
tell
a
you
great
that.
question.
And no, I'll tell
None
you.
of us
I'll
fucking
tell
know.
you. I know. I do know. I have asked. Okay, so a lot of lawyers don't understand how they're collecting evidence. I don't know 100%, but I had a meeting with Monty where he explained that everyone that touched the gun's fingerprint is on it, and you have to collect the right fingerprint and match it to the right person. And the officer that took the prints of the guns just grabbed the last people to touch it. So it was like the officers that were pointing guns at you and stuff. So it was probably Tinker in the cell when he was shoving it in your face in front of me and saying, "How do you like it?"
Yeah.
That's how the
actually
fingerprint
so
got
funny.
on there. Yeah.
Ace has just been running with that. It's Tinker's fingerprint. We don't actually know if
Yeah,
it's
we're not
Tinker's.
sure
We have no
in
fucking
character.
idea, but it's funny if it is. But so basically, like they when they post like the docket, they post all the evidence, and it's just like a screenshot of a code sequence, right? Where it'll be like, hold on, I have one right here. I sent it to you. Oh, it's not opening. But basically it'll have like the date, a serial number. If it's like blood, it'll have a DNA code, all this. If it's a bullet casing, it'll have a casing number, like a serial number affiliated with it. And as I dissected all of these different things, I basically timelined everything for Ace. Like this was at this time, at this location with this serial number. And one thing I noticed too is I don't know if their system's bugged out or what. Like, and this is a problem because they can't prove anything if it's broken. But I found that 4 different weapons or 4 different shell casings from 4 different weapons, 5.45, 9mm, 45 ACP, I think 5.45 and 5.56. There was 4 of them anyway. All had the same serial number. So that was another thing. I was just going to be like, how is it even possible that all these could have the same serial number? Like, we were going to dissect every single piece of evidence that Clyde put in. And like, I watched the stream and Clyde's like, oh, yeah, bro, here's a piece of evidence here. And
bro,
yeah, I don't want to bore the court.
Your Clyde impression is so good, dude. I don't know. It's
bro, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And to put it into roleplay in a strategy to get out of jail in the future is fantastic.
Oh my god, it's so good. But yeah, sorry, go on. I just had to say.
Oh, it's all good. Just watching him like put up that piece of evidence and then being like, and you know, I don't want to bore the court with the rest of this, but you know, other stuff like that. And Ace is like, no. We'd like to go ahead and go over every single piece of evidence. And like, it only took one before Monty was like, oh, fuck. Because they never put any like proof of Nick Ender, blood type, number, fingerprint number. They didn't ever do that. Like, they should have put a screenshot from the MDT or something to prove what your actual credentials are. But they didn't do that. They just put a bunch of screenshots of like evidence, but there's nothing to tie it to anything. So yeah, they need to get better, or they need a better system.
They are going to do it now. They already spoke about it. They are going to put like the profile thing that shows you like Nick's blood type and Nick's fingerprint into the docket so that we can see which ones are his and stuff like that.
I think it's once they figure out some of those things, bro, it's going to get difficult for you guys, you know? Like once they start figuring out, cuz a lot of the cases get won over like, you didn't log this particular thing, or you didn't, you know, but I think for the viewers, right, for people who don't play, Dude, it probably blows some people's minds that it goes this deep even, like you were saying, you guys have been role playing for a long time. Did you ever imagine that like the legal process would have this many mechanics within it about evidence and like the cops can take pictures of the cars and the thing that's something that blew my mind when I was doing lawyer RP was like, dude, there's so many mechanics around this. It's insane.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome. There is one mechanic we think's missing though. If you can pick up the shells, the criminals should be able to. And if you can collect their fingerprints, you guys should be able to spend 2 minutes bleaching your car. And if those things were in, then it would lift to the level we're already role playing at, and we wouldn't care. We'd be like, hey, Nick, don't go out on the street without bleach. Here you go. Like we would take that to our clients.
What the guys did last time is I think we have like a jerry can or something like that. I think they took it and they actually burned the back of what's it called? Bobcat. Because a big thing that they're doing right now is like you'll do the Bobcat heist, right? And no matter what, you get shot. There's just no way to get through it without getting shot. And so they'll collect all the blood samples and then just bring it back to you and like connect you to it, right? And so the guys like did that, and I think they like put scenes up that there was like it was burned, like everything was burned back there, that kind of stuff. But I think they still collected the blood samples, and they just like they just still did it. But it's kind of it's hard, yeah, because there is not a mechanic to combat it, and that does suck. That really does.
Yeah. Yeah, I think an important thing for the viewers with that blood stuff, and especially for you, Nick, we've beaten 4 of those already, and it's going to change. They're not going to be able to just arrest you for blood. It'll be a questioning warrant, and they'll bring you in and say, Mr. Ender, explain how your blood's in there. And, if you say, the 5th, I'm not answering you, they'll have to let you go, unless they've got other evidence.
Yeah. It's that's probably a better system because it can definitely be overused. For sure.
We fixed that in character. We've been trying to fix all these flaws by staying in character, and it really makes you appreciate the roleplay a bit more. Oh, there's a problem we all know should be fixed OSC. Let's fix it in character. Then it can't really be stopped, Let's go fix it.
Yeah. Do you guys encounter a lot of like Malding crims and stuff like that?
And cops and civilians and the person that's had the bad day and ourselves. Me and Ugly yell at each other sometimes, and the defuse is to just yell back. Like, we've actually had ridiculous arguments about nothing. We've had times where I've been screaming at him at nothing, and then he's just been like, "You're a dickhead." I'm like, "Yeah, I am."
You need a nap, dog.
Yeah. I think a cool like. The reason I asked that is because I remember being able to like calm people down as a lawyer. It was almost like a buffer, where they would be going like ape shit, just crazy, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna take care of this for you, like almost like bringing them back down to like to earth a little bit. And you're like, this is I'm gonna take care of all of your legal problems, so they're just like can stop molding. I'll talk to the cops for you, okay, or whatever. And it was always like an interesting piece.
Yeah, we've had some really good role play. We had a cop that was fired, and he came to us wanting to sue the police station, and we went on like the old wise Gandalf speech about how if you sue them, you'll never have your job back, and if you really care, then why would you hurt your family? And he went back and like apologized to him. They gave him his job back, and he's still a cop. And we're like, okay, that's awesome roleplay. We diffused a situation that was going to be an angry guy yelling at another angry guy. That's what was going to happen. And they're both doing it because they're both passionate. One wants better police work and the other one wants his job back. But the moment you assess what you're doing and why you're doing it, then you can be like, hey, I'm upset because I want to do that and I want to do the things you tell me to. And that's what he went back and did, and we have really seen some of that molding turn into people being heaps happier and heaps more community-minded when they're role-playing.
Yeah. I would say every lawyer character is that kind of like community character. I think it's a way to like serve the community because you're trying to like it is a balance, right, for like the cops and the crims. And I think it's hard because sometimes like a cop or a lawyer can become a bit of a mechanic, and I think it's up to the RPer to change that. And I think that's what you guys have done really well with the particular storyline like you're in, I guess one of the questions I have is how do you keep yourself like entertained day to day, like, because I think a lot of people will probably struggle with that, they see they see what I do, like criminal wise. Oh, I can go do a bank. I can go do a boost. I can go do whatever. Is it that you guys are so into like seeing the storyline through? Is that what keeps you entertained, or is there little things you guys are doing on the side that keep you interested, or what is it exactly?
I feel like we're just always trying to plant, like I said before, just plant a seed of some kind. And like a lot of times we just brainstorm. Like I said, like if it's just me and Gentle, we're often just fucking around as us in our character voices, kind of just
Yeah.
brainstorming, like we're always thinking of like what would be funny, like what would be good, like what would be great if like we ran into a person in this situation, or like if we come up with something, like we scan through yellow pages to see if anything like piques our interest, like if someone wrote something that
The
could
Lost
be
Sun.
misconstrued.
The Lost Sun's probably the best one from the yellow pages.
Oh yeah, like the Lost MC, what was it, Lost MC or Lost Sun's
Sun
MC or whatever. But yeah, just calling people and just saying ridiculous things like that, like, oh, I'm sorry you lost your son. He's like, what are you talking about? Don't stop fucking calling me, man. Like, oh,
Yeah,
well, if I
yeah.
see him, I'll let you know. What do he look like? That's what I was asking. What do he look like? It's like, he looks like my asshole. It's just shit like that. We try and entertain ourselves, but there's a lot of downtime, like a lot of fucking sitting around doing nothing.
I find that a lot of the strategic stuff that we're planning and the long-term 6-month plan, like to have something big happen, there's always something I can be doing. Like even growing the cucumbers the other day, we grew cucumbers for like 3 hours in a group, and we got like 2,000 odd cucumbers just so we can give them to you guys to drive around to enhance the story and then drop off at the Yellow Jack. Like, so I find something to do. I ring everyone in the Yellow Pages and ask questions. I say the dumbest thing you imagine. Like, it comes down to you, really. If you can find a way to make it fun, you'll have fun.
Yeah, and I think but that's what, dude, with the lawyer stuff, it actually taught me a lot, because what I started doing was the RP became about the firm, like just growing the firm and like the firm, like dynamics between the different characters. Like we hired like assistants, we hired like, just different people. We couldn't pay them anything because we weren't actually making any money, because half the time the court cases wouldn't even work out, or people wouldn't pay, or whatever. But it ended up being this really cool like dynamic, just because I don't know if you guys had ever seen my lawyer character, but I basically had his office inside of a barbershop. And so like we just took over a barbershop in the South Side, right? And just made the back office the office, and then the barbershop was still the barbershop. So like people would come in and then they would like get their hair done, and then I'd be in the back and we'd be like just sitting back there, and we'd be like, oh, are you here for legal services or the barbershop, And then like eventually it kind of became a little bit of an RP hub, because we would get like an assistant. I had multiple lawyers in there, and just like being able to create something in such a small space, but also something like so interesting outside of, like you guys are saying, the like shoot 'em up RP or the robbing RP or the whatever. It challenged me a lot, like as a role player, to create something interesting, not only for like myself, but for like a stream. And I think that I don't know, it just makes me tell stories better versus it being all mechanics based, you know?
Yeah, so with a lawyer, the mechanics aren't really for you, like sending people to jail and stuff is for punishment. There's not a lot of mechanics that are put in for a lawyer. It's like you have to create the mechanics as a role player. And you're right there. And that's why we made that community center that we showed you guys the other day. We're going to have that hub that you can like walk out of Mission Row and you don't know what to do and you're a new person. You can just go to the legal hub over there that has all these access to all these legal things, and also has an illegal shadow overseeing what's going on. Like we put that into lawyerism. So now all the lawyers can come role play in the center. They can use the library. They can get information. They can request sessions off ACE and things like that. But, and so that means that we're full. Like we do slack off a lot, like Ugly said, and muck around, but that's part of the fun. Like I don't feel like I'm ever waiting for roleplay.
That's awesome. Talk about that center a little bit. So what they've done is like create it's basically like a walk-in map, right? Like what do they call it? An instance, I think is what it is. And you guys, how did that get designed and everything? So it's amazing.
Yeah, so the box is something you can buy in character. It doesn't have any OOC anything. It's just all role play. And me and Ugly have been sticking only in the city, not asking for any unique things to be added and just finding a way to do it ourselves. So we found this large box that you could buy. It was like $1.1 million. And then you have to do all the decorating yourself using the in-city catalog. And so I've done it before in the past, and I told Ugly that he would be able to smash it because I know how good he is with art. So I think it was maybe a 3-minute. I sent him a video of a past one, and he's like, "Oh, I got this." And then so I sort of went in and told him what I wanted, and he just went in and built all these walls and buildings. And when you walk in it, we wanted it to feel like Jurassic Park, and we wanted the theme of light and dark to be all through the building. So every little business we have could be used for criminal or for legal, And when you look up at our nightclub, half the roof is space and half the roof is sunlight, And we put that through the whole building so that when you're role playing and you're playing out these scenes, it feels more like the movie. And so we did that with the construction side. And then we decided we were going to put little offices and we're going to make it a community center where anyone can come. Because we found that if you're new to the city, you really want to role play, you probably want a job, you just stick it in the yellow pages and that's it. We wanted to work with Kaya. We're going to get like a role play center there where you can sit down and come talk to someone like Kaya who wants to be the recruitment agent. We want to just make sure that as a new player in the city, you can be like, I know what I want to do. I'll go there, talk to these people. Boom. So that was sort of the theory behind it all.
Yeah. What was it like building that, Ugly? Like going through and building
it? Was like fucking 80 hours of eye strain and AIDS, dude.
Bro, when I saw that, dude, I was like, this is a lot of work, dude. It was, yeah.
It was a fuckload of work. Yeah. It basically started out as like, I made like the center area, like, is this the size you guys want this to be? Okay. And then like I went up and I did all the fucking floors and then like, maybe we want a courthouse. Maybe we want that, like we just kept adding all this shit until like, there's still so much room to add stuff, like it's an insanely huge building. But yeah,
dude, I can hear the frustration in your voice, Gentle, when I was like, yeah, we can't see this. You're like,
so the reason for that one was I had asked everyone not to touch anything that morning because that's what causes it. If we've been in there moving things around when you've been awake, then you'll have to relog. And Vincent Hayes went in there and put a giant penis on the wall right where everyone had to go, and then people couldn't see any of the courthouse. And that's why I was frustrated because I'm like,
It's always the penis joke, bro. It's always the penis joke that just ruins it, But dude, I mean, dude, that
goddamn
design,
originality,
though, right? That design, though, bro. Just hats off to you, man, because that is like, yeah, I've decorated a house before and it took me hours, right? And it wasn't even good. And you built a whole like place, and like you guys said, dude, I don't think people like. I think they fall, they kind of like stumble upon some of the streams or my stream or whatever, and they start to see like, oh, these people are like, a lot of it's like hee hee hoo hoo ha hoo, hee hee hoo ha ha, like funny, like, oh, it's just like cheap comedy stuff, But there is a whole other side of RP that is people putting in like hours of their time and creating stuff just so for not even like that they're sure someone's going to use it, but just the possibility that somebody might use it and create a story from it. Like for me, like I've done that with things where I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's not. And just the fact that there's the possibility it could is enough for me to do it, And
that was my biggest drive, I think, with building that place. It was like, we got the box. I saw that it could be done, and I just wanted to be able to use it. I didn't want to spend weeks waiting for someone to build it or pay some dev fucking several $100s to make us something custom or whatever. For me, it was like, I can do this if I just buckle down and do it. Like I spent like 40 hours the first weekend in like a 3-day span, just staring at the fucking screen. But I knew that when I was done, it was going to be super fucking worth it. Like it was worth that week, 80 hours of my life that I put in to build that place. Cause I know how much potential will come. Even if I quit playing tomorrow, there's so much potential within that building. That's why I did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, it was amazing. And it was so funny because everyone's like, even in my chat, they're like, This is cooler than your freaking compound, bro. That you guys brought. This is way better, And even Jay and characters say that. It's just so funny because there were just so many little intricacies, and I think, yeah, it just shows that's probably just not only how you think about a building, but that's how you guys think about like the entire like side of your guys' RP, and I think that's the value that you guys bring, right? Sometimes it's hard as an RPer to like allow yourself to slow down and some of these more like story based characters to like let your story kind of blossom. And that's something I've been trying to do with you guys in particular, right? Is allow this story to kind of blossom, even though things get so busy and there's so many different things to do as a criminal. Like allow the storyline type stuff to kind of just cook, and I'm excited to use that place to do that. And I think it makes me want to use it more and more, though, even here in the time that you guys put into it, because I've done that before, and then no one uses something, and you're like, I just want to, smash
it
everything.
gets used, man. Ugly, like you can feel him radiating pride when we take someone new through there, and I'm always like, check this out, bro. Coda's dragged this in one piece at a time, and he's always in the corner like, yep, that's me. Like,
yeah, dude. Hell yeah, dude.
He's building another nightclub. He's already got another job to build another one of these. The business bureau have got a deal with us now where they're going to bring new business owners into our front area to show them what's possible to help, because a lot of people want the dev to build that thing. Ugly's changed that just by showing them what they can do.
Dude, as much as it can get like away from the devs having to do it or an admin having to do it, dude, the better. Because then like just in roleplay you can do it. You can just have it be done, and you're not waiting for the business bureau or waiting for some other thing. It's just so much better for sure.
Yeah. And we're going to be offering that service as well from a community service to help get appointments and write out your business approvals without crazy things in them.
Did you hear that, dude? If you guys are in the server, man, Ugly will spend 80 hours on your business at any time you want.
For 3 pieces of pizza and a cucumber. That's what he charged for the night.
Yeah. And all he wants is no money and a cucumber. Just take that and run with it. 80 hours, guys. It'll be easy.
Yeah, I put 8 hours into the nightclub earlier for Reason or Vandalay or what's his name? Big Sean.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick. I think it's going to be a pretty good little hub too when it's done.
Dude, it just being able to even do that is just so cool, man. I'm excited for those like boxes to be used more and more, like those instants.
Yeah,
like
you
type
can
things.
You can buy little
really
ones
cool.
too. You can buy like a small one, a medium one, or a large one. So we got the biggest one you can get because we're a big firm. But if you're just a little guy like that barbershop idea, it's only $250K to get something about a square box the size of the barbershop, and you can have that put on a door wherever, and then you can just build it,
Yeah. I gotta learn about that because that gives me like a lot of freaking ideas, man. That'd be kind of cool. But
they're about to implement a new system as well for like decorating. Yeah, I guess because currently it's super shitty. Like the reason it takes me 80 hours is because I have to like back out of the menu 3 times because I can't rotate the piece into the right position and shit. I guess they're going to implement like copy pasting and simple, like, user friendly quality of life shit. So it might get a lot easier for people to do themselves soon.
Hell yeah. Well, dude, I think we're at an hour, but I think it's really cool for people to see what your guys' characters bring like to the table, because I think sometimes I get hindered by watching people like me at times because you see the like exciting like criminal side and they think that's all that it has to offer. But that's why a lot of times I try to dip into more story-based stuff, right? And so I think this has been a really, really cool time for them to see something that's different and that can still be really, really fun and really, really exciting and create so many opportunities for other people, dude. But is there anything else that you guys feel like people should know about your characters or know about, what you guys are working on or that kind of stuff?
Just talk to us. I mean, if you're in the city, talk to us whenever you want. We'll talk about anything, anytime. We'll tell you all our in-character stuff.
Yeah, and I was going to reference back to something you said about, slowing down. That's like the homeful motto. We sat on a corner for like 2 weeks just yelling at everyone to slow the fuck down. And that's kind of our whole entire premise with these characters is just slow the fuck down, take things slow, Like, you don't have to accomplish everything right this minute, you know? Like, there's a lot of things you can do if you just take a step back and slow down a little bit.
Yeah,
Don't
we
rush
never
to the end
grinded
game.
once. Never grinded once, and we have a $1.1 million building. So for all the people that want to roleplay, just remember, you don't have to do trash over and over and over. You don't have to rob banks every time the cooldown's up, you know? You can still get $1 million building. Just roleplay how you get it.
Well, I think it'll be way more enjoyable if you do that. Like if you role play it out. Like I've always liked getting money in a role play way versus getting it in a bank way. But dude, I appreciate your guys' mindset, man. I've been having a blast like role playing out our storylines and just kind of going down that path. I can't wait for the day that either everything falls apart or it succeeds. And I think either way, it'll be a great story, man. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to do this, but also just like for all the time you guys put in to create the fun storylines, man.
Thank you, bro. Yeah,
Alrighty,
thanks for letting us into your guys' role play as well, man. It goes two ways. That's one thing you always got to remember, right?
Yeah. Alrighty, well, we'll see you guys, and maybe this won't be the last time we have you on here, man. Especially if things like get crazier and crazier. So thank you. Hey guys, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. There's another one right here, or like maybe right here, or something like that. Also, if you have not subscribed to this channel yet, make sure you smash that subscribe button. If this is your first time ever seeing me, I'm also live on Twitch Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I might be live right now. You never know. All right. See you in the next video.